Welcome to the Beyond Football Show. Here's your host, Hannah Hall and Kate Lay.
Hey guys, welcome to the Beyond Football Show. I am your host, Hannah Hall.
And I'm Kate Lay.
And on this show, we will be talking all things beyond football. We will be connecting with your favorite athletes on the football team. We will be talking about the events that Beyond Football hosts. And most importantly, really getting into what is Beyond Football.
Yes, I'm so excited to be brought onto this project. And let's just talk about our day. How was your week? What have you been up to, Hannah?
Personally, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling refreshed, ready to get after it this week. Got the homework done, all that student athlete life, feeling good. So how about you?
Yeah, me too. I had a lot of meetings. I'm part of Beyond Sparta and Beyond Football, so I've had many meetings. I know that you're also on the same project, and I know we never really talk about it, but what even got you started in Beyond Football?
Right. So as some of you may know, I am a student athlete at San Jose State. I'm on the women's soccer team. And with me, I've always been the type of person who just wants to get their hands on everything possible. I'm so excited about what my future looks like, and I just want to know what comes next. And unfortunately, when you're a student athlete, sometimes that isn't always possible. And so when I got to San Jose State in 2018, when I was a freshman, there was this program called Beyond Football, and Beyond Football really focused on getting the football players mentoring abilities and connecting them with the community and connecting them with internships. And that was something that really spoke to me. We didn't have that for women's soccer. And so I actually reached out to Tobruk, and I was like, Tobruk Blaine, who is the director of Beyond Football program. And I was just in awe of it. I wanted to know more about it, and I wanted to see how I could get involved. And so that's where my journey kind of starts. I ended up just doing tasks for Tobruk, kind of ended up in an operations role with Beyond Football. And, here we are a year later, and it's just growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, that's so dope. And speaking of Tobruk, that is actually our first guest today. She is actually the director of Beyond Football. So let's have a warm welcome to Tobruk. Yay!
So Blaine, how are you?
I am fabulous, ladies. Thank you for having me. This is such an exciting project that you girls came up with, and this is your brainchild, so I'm excited to support it and see where it goes. Let's do this.
Yes, I am so happy to be here with you. And first and foremost, I want you to tell me a little bit about yourself, but most importantly, can you dive into what exactly Beyond Football program is? For those who are at home, and we see the pictures, we see the athletes in the community, but what is it? Tell us about that.
Awesome. Thanks for asking. So Beyond Football is a program that is geared towards preparing our football student athletes for life off the field. We focus on three things: exploring San Jose State and the Bay Area and what opportunities exist. We live in a vibrant community that is like the capital of innovation. I mean, on our cell phones, you pick up your phone and it's like Apple, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, they're all within 15 to 45 minutes of where we live. So it's important that we're exposing our football players to what the university and what the city of San Jose has to offer. We also focus on creating a culture of volunteerism through inspiring ourselves and others with the act of service. We are mentoring, we are volunteering, we are doing things to give back to our direct San Jose community. And the third piece is cultivating. We cultivate knowledge and skills, and most importantly, relationships that get us prepared for the next steps once we are done off the field. And we all know that a lot of times it's not always about what you know, but who you know. And so that's Beyond Football sort of in an overarching terms. And what got me to this place is ultimately I was a teacher and I wanted to coach students. And I used cheerleading and dance as my avenue to coach young people to becoming their best self. But I knew that there was something more for me. I got to the collegiate level of coaching, but I wanted to have an impact on a different demographic. So slowly but surely, I got introduced to student athlete development. I kind of saw the need for it. The network that I had helped me get to San Jose State. And kind of the rest is history. I'm just passionate about helping young people discover who they are and achieving their best self.
Right. And that is so important. As you said, San Jose has so much to offer. And Beyond Football really takes advantage of that, you know, connecting us with major companies like Facebook and Adobe. And it is so awesome what you are doing. And so you kind of already covered my first question of what sparked your interest in student athlete development. As we know, obviously, it's so important to make sure that these football players and student athletes have a life after sports, as you said. But let's talk a little bit more about your journey into this. What were some challenges you had to go through starting up this program?
I mean, the biggest challenge that I had was that it wasn't really being done anywhere else.
Right.
And if it was being done, it wasn't publicized a lot. There wasn't a lot of research around it. I mean, there still isn't a lot of research around it. You know, it's not like you go to school to get a degree in student athlete development. So I would say the biggest challenge for me is just kind of what was my starting point. I came into San Jose State with a clean slate. It hadn't been done before. So, you know, it was making those tough decisions on what is going to be our primary focus, because there's a lot of things that we could be focusing on. And so, yeah, I found it most challenging just getting the ball rolling and determining what the priorities were.
Yeah, I can see how that's super challenging, but look at how well this program is. And now we have our own show that's hopefully going to get a lot of views, and everyone can see how much work you put into it. And I know the athletes are really appreciative of what you do. So speaking of the athletes, I just kind of wanted to know, what was your favorite event that Beyond Football has put on?
Oh, hands down, it wasn't an event that we put on, but it was an event that we participated in, and it is hands down Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. It's an event put on by our local YWCA Silicon Valley chapter, and it's focused on raising awareness around sexual assault and domestic violence. And it's held in an area called Santana Row here in San Jose, and you have hundreds of people coming, putting on high heels and walking approximately a mile around Santana Row. And it is incredible. Like, our football coaches were totally bought in. You see Coach Brennan and his son Scotty in high heels. You see, you know, 300-pound defensive linemen, like a former alum, Silosi Latu, putting on heels. And it's so much fun. We actually had a video go viral of a bunch of our guys dancing in their heels, just living it up. It's just such a fun event, and the cause is even more important. And one of the proudest moments I had that time was we had Trey Webb, one of our starting safeties. He spoke as one of the opening speakers of the event to 700 plus people in attendance, talking about the impact of what we're doing and setting the bar high to hold ourselves accountable and, you know, be a part of the group that does the right thing. His message was just so powerful, and it was awesome to watch him, you know, do that. It's really intimidating to get up in front of 700 people and talk about something that's a very sensitive topic. And he took it head on and did an incredible job.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I know that it sucks because of COVID. We actually can't do any of those things right now, but I think it's really important to get these athletes out of their comfort zone, especially to put on high heels and walk. You know, I think that's really hard. Even I have trouble walking. Yeah, it's really hard wearing high heels. And speaking of, you know, preparing these young men for life, what is the importance of preparing these young men for life beyond football?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, all student athletes have been thinking of themselves as an athlete probably their entire life. I mean, from a young age, we can all relate to some extent where we've been involved in extracurricular activities, even if it wasn't sport specific, music or art or something extracurricular that we've really spent a lot of time on. And we've discovered our strengths and our talents through that process. So when it comes to athletes, you know, especially between middle and high school, you know, their schedules have just been focused on waking up every day and preparing to be the best version of themselves on the field. And as they continue to strengthen their skills on the field, more and more of their coaches and teachers and parents and family members are telling them, wow, you're really talented. You could go on and play at the next level. Wow, you could get a scholarship. You know, and they start to believe that there's this dream of what more that sport can do for them in their future career. So they're just constantly being told, which they should be by family and friends who love and support them, that this is their ticket, right, to having success in life. And you wake up every morning and you go to weights and you go to school, and then after school you go to practice, and then you watch film, and then you go home and do your homework, you go to sleep, you wake up, and you do it all over again for however many years in a row. So I think that this program is so important to just recognize that all those things that make them successful in school in their sport is what also makes them successful in their life. Being able to be accountable, being able to be a team player, being disciplined, having an elite expectation for themselves, that all translates into what someone in a career corporate world is looking for. They want to hire somebody like that. And I think athletes get lost a little bit in what it means to be an athlete, and aren't able to directly connect that what they're doing as an athlete actually translates really well into that corporate or entrepreneur, whatever it is they want to pursue. That parallel is right alongside it. So it's important beyond football, kind of bring that to light for those athletes.
Definitely. I can say firsthand from my experience being an athlete, I'm medically retired now due to a concussion that I sustained when I was younger. And so I have been in that position of going from an athlete and what's next. And it's been a difficult transition, but as you've said, you definitely see all of those values come over and cross over into life after your sport. And that's so important. My next question would be, if you could tell your younger self anything, what would you tell her? Being the individual you are now and being the person coming into San Jose State, making a difference, making beyond football, something that has never been done before. Think about that. Like, what would you tell her?
That's a great question, and very hard to answer for me, because in my early 20s or mid 20s, I used to say, and I still say, I don't have any regrets in life, because what may be considered a regret has actually led me to the places I am today. If it hadn't been for that, what we may consider a mistake or a regret, it wouldn't have led me to where I am today. So I try to really embrace anything that in my past that I might look at as like a challenge or adversity, because ultimately that challenge and adversity led me to where I am today. But I think the biggest thing for me would be going back to my like teenage years and early 20s, probably up until college or through college maybe, but trust your gut and trust your instinct. And then the second piece of that is be brave and be bold enough to vocalize it, to speak up, to tell others, right, that that's not okay, or to tell yourself that's not okay, and have a high standard for yourself. I think that when you're younger, you do get caught up a little bit in what is accepted and what other people might think. And you have a little bit of fear of not being embraced by what you might consider being like status quo by your peers. And I do think I got caught up in that a little bit, and it held me back in some ways. And I think I battle it even, as a woman now, just, being bold enough to recognize that you have an insecurity. It's okay to be insecure. Everybody has insecurities. We need to embrace it. We need to accept it. And, maybe this will help a young person listening, but go with your gut, believe in yourself, and be bold enough to speak out about it, whether it's calling someone out or telling yourself, like, that's okay. You don't have to fit the norm. You can be unique. You can be different. But if it feels right and you believe in yourself, then go do it.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that is really important. I think nowadays people aren't okay with being insecure, and people are told to be strong, and people are told to have this facade, but it's okay to embrace yourself and embrace your uniqueness. And speaking of our listeners, for anyone who's trying to go through this, or who is trying to open up their own program like Beyond Football, what would you tell them? What's some advice for them as well if they're trying to do something for their student athletes at their school?
I've been saying this to a number of people who've reached out to me about how do we get this going, whether it be at a high school setting, a junior college setting, or beyond. But I would say pick one thing that you want to be better at. Is it that you want to create more community within your own community, giving back? Is it that you want to build a stronger culture amongst your athletic department? Do you want to expose your athletes to careers and help them see themselves, in a role that's outside of their sport? But just try to pick one thing and then do it really well. The work that we're doing, it's really meaningful, but it can also be very overwhelming. There's a lot to do. And I think you have to be particular about what your priority is. And I just always say do less, but do it really well, rather than taking on 6, 7, 8 different things that are important. They're really important, but you're not going to make the impact that you want to make because you have too many fires burning. So I definitely think just try to assess where you think the biggest need is and then start there, just that one thing, and build on it. For us with San Jose State, when I first got started, it was community. We just started volunteering at schools. We just started going to playground visits and making connections with the principals and the teachers. And that one step forward took us another step forward, that took us to another step forward. And now I applied for a grant a couple years ago. We got playground equipment through the grant. We delivered equipment to those schools in need. It resulted in a conversation with a teacher and a principal that then led to a mentoring program that we're now headed into our 4th year of doing. So I definitely think it's like, you just start somewhere and just focus on that one thing. And the rest of it will just sort of take steps beyond as you work through it.
Definitely. Wow. I am blown away by this amazing advice. This has been so awesome, but we are not done yet.
No, we're not. So here at the Beyond Football Show, we kind of like to spice things up, kind of have a little fun. So we have our song segment, which means, Tobruk, is there a song that you know from the beginning to the middle to the end? And if you do, could you just sing, maybe spit a little verse, maybe sing the chorus for us? I think our viewers would really like to hear you spit some bars, TB.
I like it. The Humpty Dance is your chance. Do the hump. Do it, baby. Do the Humpty Hump. Come on, do the Humpty Hump.
Hey!
Yes, I love it.
Digital Underground, the Humpty Dance. It's my go-to karaoke song, hands down.
This has been so much fun, Tobruk. We just want to thank you for being here today. This is a big step forward for the Beyond Football program, and we cannot wait to see where this takes us. I mean, here we are, a year ago, things were different, just getting our feet wet, getting some events going here and there. And now we are connecting these players with huge opportunities for their life after football. And here we are today, first episode.
Yeah.
On football.
Big time.
Woo!
Big time. Shout out to you two ladies for all your hard work.
Oh my gosh. And shout out to you. I just want everyone to know that's listening, TB, Tobruk is literally an angel. Everything that you guys are hearing right now is her genuine self. Like, she is so fun, super dope. And if you ever get to meet her, you are one lucky soul, because I know she's changed my life, and I know she's for sure changed Hannah. So really, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to even have a show and kind of use our voices to not only represent Beyond Football, but also to represent the guys that we will have on the show. And speaking of that, please tune in next week for our next week's episode. Who's going to be our guest? Is it going to be a football player? Is it going to be a coach? Is it going to be a mentor?
We don't know, but you will know if you tune in next week.
Yes, and also follow our Instagram and our Twitter, and we will see you guys next week at the Beyond Football Show.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.